Animation Chronicle brings us some more joys and wonders from the 5Ds era, considering that it's the 5D's 15th anniversary this year. And today's mini archetype of 8 cards comes from Tenzen Yanagi and his Ancient Treasures, as the series of cards is called, because it does not have any definitive archetypal name. So yeah, convenient name to know the archetype by, and the only one card that didn't get adapted into the real card game was an equip spell, which honestly is a very mediocre Dark World support card on paper. So yeah, we'll be taking a look at the other cards that did get adapted. And we start off with Crystal Skull, which is a level 1 water with 0 attack and defense. It's a rock monster as well. And if it is summoned, take 1000 damage. Then change this card to defense position. During the end phase, if you did not take effect damage this turn, you can either add to your hand or special summon one rock monster with 0 attack from your deck. You can only use this effect of Crystal Skull once per turn. And yeah, this is one of the archetype's 3 monsters, and the gimmick of said archetype are rock monsters with 0 attack. And yeah, as you can see, it has a negative effect to instantly damage you upon being summoned in any way, and it kind of contradicts with the second effect, seeing how you cannot use them on the same turn, which would be nice, but hey, it would make the archetype a bit too consistent at what it's supposed to do. Now, what the archetype is supposed to do? Well, it's unclear with this first card at first, much as it is unclear with their next monster, CABRERA Stone. This is another level 1 rock, this one being an earth monster. And if it is summoned, you can add one Triangle O from your deck to your hand. Then if this card is in attack position, change it to defense position. And you can only use this effect once per turn. And if it is destroyed by battle or card effect, you take 1000 damage. Okay, so this one searches a specific card, namely the card Triangle O, which is something we'll get into a bit later. And yeah, it also has a negative effect of damaging you for 1000 points, this one needing to be destroyed by battle or card effect, unlike the Crystal Skull, which damages you upon each time it's summoned. So yeah, again, it doesn't show off what the archetype is focused on doing, so we need to take a look at their final monster, that being ASHOKA Pillar, which is a level 3 rock monster with 0 attack, but this one has 2200 defense, which is actually really beefy for a level 3 monster. And if this card is summoned, you can add an equip spell from your deck to your hand. Then if this card is in attack position, change it to defense position, and you can only use this effect once per turn. And if this card is destroyed by battle or card effect, you take 2000 damage. So yeah, it's a lot harsher of a punishment for this thing, for letting this thing get destroyed. And yeah, this one searches on equip spell, which any equip spell, mind you, on any form of summon, which is actually quite versatile for a rock-based deck. So I'm imagining this thing is going to become a tech choice in some rock decks which runs a fair number of equip spells. So yeah, anyway, again, not a single semblance of what the archetype is focused on doing, aside from letting you take some heavy damage if you let them be destroyed or summon them simply. So for the definitive way of what the archetype is focused on doing, we need to take a look at Triangle O, which is the card that CABRERA Stone searches. And it's a normal spell that you can only activate if you control Crystal Skull, ASHOKA Pillar, and CABRERA Stone. Destroy all cards on the field. Also, this turn your opponent takes any effect damage you would have taken instead. And then you can banish this card from your graveyard, then target one Crystal Skull, ASHOKA Pillar, and CABRERA Stone in your graveyard, shuffle them into the deck, then draw 3 cards. And you can only use one Triangle O effect per turn, and only once that turn. Okay, so yeah, the point of all those negative effects was to simply reflect them onto your opponent while also setting up your graveyard for some consistency. And this card right here ensures that rocks will literally never get a card that is their own equivalent of Obedience Scolded, because yeah, you can essentially get all three of these monsters on the field. The one Cabrera Stone searches Triangle O upon any form of summon, and then yeah, that's basically a 1 card 5,000 damage or 4,000 damage depending on your setup. So yeah, pretty nasty indeed, as well as being a field nuke. Then, of course, the second effect is pretty reasonable consistency for such a gimmicky set of cards, so naturally, this is the centerpiece of this Ancient Treasure playstyle. Now for some of their other support cards. Then we have, first of which being Piri Reis map, which at the start of your main phase 1 allows you to add any 0 attack monster from your deck to your hand, then halve your life points. After adding it to your hand until the end of the next turn after this card was activated, you cannot activate the added monster's effect or the effects of the cards with the same name until you normal summon that monster with its name. So yeah, needless to say, you run 3 of these at all times because it fetches every member of the archetype, and not to mention this card is much better in a Time Lord deck because it can search out every single monster of the archetype and it just blends in very wonderfully with Time Lord. So yeah, this is an absolute masterpiece of a card, as well as any other deck that focuses on 0 attack monsters can basically utilize the hell out of this thing. And I would even incline to say that Reptilians can even benefit from this on occasion, so yeah, that's a really good card, run it definitely. Then we have the Archetype's only equip spell, which is Stonehenge. Target 1 monster with 0 attack in your graveyard, special summon it in attack position, and if you do, equip it with this card. And when this card equipped by this effect leaves the field, destroy the monster, and you can only activate 1 Stonehenge per turn. Obviously, it's meant to revive the members of the archetype, but of course you can also use it on Time Lords if you ever so feel like it. And yeah, being an equip spell meaning it's searchable, and of course equip spells that revive monsters are very, very valuable, so naturally run 3 at all times if you're playing Time Lords. Well, Time Lords not so much because they have some better options, but definitely for this deck, run 3 at all times. Their last spell card is Curse Reflection Doll, a quick play spell, which allows you to, when a monster effect is activated that would inflict damage to you, your opponent takes that damage instead. And when you take battle damage while this card is in your graveyard, you can set it to your field, and you can only use this effect once per turn. So yeah, Curse Reflection Doll wonderfully plays into the gimmick of the archetype, which is reflecting effect damage into your opponent, which makes me wonder, where the hell was this when Trickstars were all the rage in the OCG? So yeah, this would have... I mean, yeah, you only get to use it once, and I imagine pulling this card off against someone who maybe plays a deck such as like Wave Motion Cannon is like very cathartic, I gotta imagine. So yeah, again, it plays into your expectations from this archetype, and yeah, you definitely run a couple of these if you're playing this kind of deck. So yeah, but what about battle protection? Some of you might be thinking. Well, that's what we have the final card for, the Continuous Trap Totem Pole, which can be activated and your opponent cannot target rock monsters you control with 0 original attack with card effects, and once per attack, when an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can negate that attack, then place 1 counter on this card. If this card has 3 counters, send it to the graveyard. And if you have 3 or more monsters with 0 attack and their different names in your graveyard, you can banish this card from your graveyard. Any effect damage your opponent takes this turn is doubled. So yeah, this can effectively turn Triangle O into a massive OTK enabler since it doubles any effect damage. I'm twisting my words like crazy for some reason. And yeah, so that's a good 6,000 damage or even 8,000 damage depending on your setup, of course. So yeah, it's really a neat thing to have, and you should definitely run at least one of these, especially for that graveyard effect. So it can definitely make this into a very potent OTK and FTK enabler depending on how you play it. You can of course play it in a pure variant to basically maximize this deck's gimmick as much as possible, or you can maybe take it into some other rock decks such as Adamanticators, for example, and maybe make them hard-hitting FTKers? I don't know. This archetype is not gonna receive any grading due to being a tech archetype, obviously, but it is very nice that we have finally got these little thingies printed. Well, we will be getting them printed. They're not printed as of yet. Well, Crystal Skull, Pire Rice Map, and Curse Reflection Doll, and even Stonehenge are printed as of now, as they were introduced in Brothers of Legend, if I'm recalling correctly. But the other ones are gonna be introduced in Animation Chronicle 2023. So yeah, finally this archetype's done, and yeah, it's really nice to see it finally in the real game. Let's just hope that we receive some more 5Ds love from this celebratory year. I'm still waiting for archetypes to receive support such as Fortune Ladies. And yeah, I even saw the Jack Atlas structure deck, which comes with the new Red Dragon Archfiend retrain, which I'm going to be taking a look at in the next Archetype rematch volume. And I would really love a new retrain of Stardust Dragon on the same caliber to maybe give it some more offensive options. Maybe make it a more akin to Borreload Savage Dragon for 5Ds era. That would be absolutely lovely if they did that with Stardust Dragon. But alas, all we can do is wait and inevitably be disappointed with the new wave of Blue Eyes support cards that Konami will bring us at some point in the future. But anyway, when we get to that, I will inevitably make a video about that sooner or later. But for now, thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned for more Red Walkthroughs and updates. Have yourselves a great day, and I'll see you all next time.